Hey everybody, this is Jedd Johnson here. Alan's on the call. This is episode number 25 of This Week in Grip, right Alan?
Yep, that's right.
All right, 25. That means we're well on our way to 100 shows, Alan. Isn't it crazy?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Cool. So where we left off in episode 24 was we covered the three main events of South Jersey 4, and now we are on our way back to Nate's house for the medley. So before we get too deep into it, guys, just want to remind everybody that if you could, please like the video. We're getting like 150 views on this thing, and we're getting like 20 likes. So that needs to be like 50 likes. I'm asking you personally to like the video. It doesn't do really that much for the channel. It's not like I'm asking you to help me out. This is good for the sport. This gets the video presented in front of more faces by you hitting likes. Also had some feedback about the recording program. Someone, I believe it was Sean Capusta, mentioned doing like a GoFundMe so that we could get better equipment and stuff like this. It's not the equipment, guys. It's literally my internet service that screws things up. And then this one last time I got an audio file that had something wrong with it. I've done like 300 shows using this teleservice. And that's the first time I ever had a problem with the audio file, and it was probably something that got corrupted with my internet service because I had to download it again, and it worked just. It wasn't ever going to work, that file. So appreciate your patience, and I appreciate the offer to have a GoFundMe gone through to get something done with that, but totally unnecessary. Let's see. Keep telling people about grip. This past weekend I held a little mini grip contest and handed out flyers and business cards about grip sport. So that's a little local thing that I did, but got some people some pretty good experience. Remember, guys, we're only going to get this thing growing if we tell more people about it, and that's the first rule of grip sport. You tell everybody about grip sport. Alan, what do you recall as far as when the contest is wrapped up, we're all through all three events, what's going through your head at this moment?
All right. Well, I was trying to figure out how exactly I was going to get back to Nate's place. That was the big thing. So I met up with Ches, and he gave me a ride over there. Looking forward to eating some of that awesome food that Nate's wife had grilled up for us. That was real good stuff. Then after that, I wasn't too sure about how I was going to approach the medley. Walking downstairs and finally seeing things, that's when kind of everything actually fell apart in my mind. So first, Nate's grip gym is the mecca of grip gyms. That's something everybody should aspire to have. It was well laid out, nicely organized. He had everything imaginable. He had kind of a wall of tributes to various people amongst grip sport. Just an amazing gym overall. Now, where things kind of disappeared for me was when I went down there and I saw Chris Ryder giving Maria some tutorials on phone book tearing. And I had never done that before, immediately jumped right into that and wound up tearing some phone books, working on some decks of cards, and that just destroyed my hands. So anything I had planned for the medley was pretty well gone at that point. So, but yeah.
Before getting to that point, Alan, what do you recall about like the layout for the spread of food? Because I'm sure we've got a lot of food fanatics listening to this podcast right now. What do you remember about the food layout, how much food there was, what was there, the structure to the whole deal? Where did you end up eating? I don't even remember seeing you, dude. Did you go like into a closet and like eat double servings? Tell me about that.
Yeah, no, I was kind of hiding outside over by some steps. I believe I was actually sitting over by DeVorn Harris and his family. So I think they wound up having ribs and chicken were the main items on the menu. I think Nate had bought something like 50, 60 pounds of ribs, something like that. I wasn't aware that chicken was going to be on the menu. I actually think there was also some hot dogs, maybe bratwurst or something like that for some other people. The ribs are what I personally attacked. They also had some awesome assorted brownies piled up. Those were quite amazing as well. Let's see here, different lemonades. I think he had some unsweetened lemonade, some regular lemonade, various assortments of like iced tea. I think that's about the gist of what I remember. Excellent setup, kind of a buffet style, sort of a round the world kind of thing. Set up around his counter, so it kept traffic moving real freely. Everybody was able to get in there and get something. I didn't see any bottlenecks, so people were able to get their food quick and get right to it.
Oh yeah.
What were your impressions?
Well, same thing. Tons of food. I remember there being out on the deck. He had like a tarp built up over top of the deck, so if it rained, we were all set. Or if the birds decided to come by and drop bombs on us, we were all protected. I remember talking to like Bill LePage and Neil Bakerless and their crew. Sitting down with, I was actually sitting by Duvorn for a time as well. I remember sitting there talking with Dan Fleming and Tim Butler. Sean Kapusta brought me a 6-pack of Yingling. I don't remember if I ever even drank any. I don't even know if I know. I might have left that 6-pack there after all the festivities were over. I might have forgotten to grab it. I just remembered it right now. I don't know if I ever even grabbed one. I do remember all of the lemonades and teas, and I tasted all of those. Had to give each one of those a taste test. And for sure, Nate's setup downstairs was very, very nice. He had all kinds of cool block weights. He had the Man Enough block weight. He had I believe it was about a 50-pound scale weight that we tried lifting, and then people also brought along like some of their own equipment of their own. So Andrew Dube had that block thing with the different items to grip on it.
The Dube cube.
A shot. Yeah, the cube. It had like a spherical shot on it. It had like a stubbish type implement, my favorite, and then all kinds of stuff. There was a decent amount of time that took place between the dinner and the medley. I think that was maybe because Nate didn't want anybody to get cramps, sort of how you're supposed to like wait 45 minutes after you eat before you go into the ocean or whatever, that old wives' tale that they used to say. So maybe that's what was going on. Maybe people had to go change in the skinny beach houses. You remember that? Did you ever watch any Disney when you were younger, Alan? There used to be this one that would come on every so often where Goofy went to the shore, and he'd have to like change from his street clothes into his beach outfit in the little bitty beach house or whatever, and it was like a little skinny wooden thing, and he didn't have enough room to get dressed in there. You remember that at all?
I probably saw it, but I definitely don't remember it. No.
I'll tell you what,
quite a while ago.
You want to see some questionable stuff? Go back and watch old Disney stuff, man. The crazy programming that was going on with that children's TV is just insane back in the day, and Disney is like one of the biggest ones. So go back and watch some of those. Some of them are on YouTube, man. It's pretty crazy stuff. So we're into the medley. And I got a bunch of it on film. I uploaded it onto YouTube. I don't remember the order. I don't know who went first. I don't know if there was a specified order for it or if it was volunteers, Alan. Help me out.
Well, yeah, so the original intention, I think how it was gonna go down was it was going to be reverse of how people had finished. So with whoever would have finished last place in the competition would have gone first in the medley and vice versa. I believe what wound up taking place, Dan Fleming and Tim Butler both had to split out of there. Tim had a birthday that day. So Dan Fleming actually went first, followed by Tim Butler. And then I'm not sure exactly what the order was after that, how that went. But they kind of, basically they did the large medley, the heavy item medley first. And then it was the lighter weight medley was the final event. So that was what I remember. I think Dan Fleming actually did pretty good. I think Tim Butler did pretty good. You won the medley, did you not?
Yes, I believe so. I think I got, I wanted the number 27 sticks in my head. I don't know if that's right or not, but I think I was maybe like 2 or 3 ahead of the next person.
Okay, all right. A lot of different items in that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There were a ton of different items. I'm going to go into my YouTube because I'm having trouble remembering what all was there, but maybe I can talk about like what some of the items were and how difficult they were. I love medleys, man. It's always interesting in a medley because you don't ever know exactly where you want to start, exactly where you want to end, what you want to hit first, what you just got to have an idea of what you think you can do and what your best opportunity is to get a bunch of points. So for me, I felt that the best way to go about doing it was to hit like 2 things at once as often as I could. So I think I did that on at least, I know on the first combination I did it, and then I may have done it on 1 or 2 other combinations later on in the contest where implements that seemed fairly easy were back to back. And I can't think of anybody, I mean, it might have happened, but I can't think of anybody else that hit things 2 at a time in order to save time, because there were so many items in there that I just thought I better try to save as much time as possible. So I started at the end. So there was a big loading platform at one end, and then the implements kind of went around that platform, and then around the other edge of the platform there was kind of like a tail of grip items, like an animal's tail. They kind of like stretched out into a line. So I started down on that line, and that was the order that I did. So I'm trying to get the video to play. Again, the internet is not great here at my house, and my daughter's watching WWE Network right now, so it might be a little bit slower. But it looks like there was some kind of a really thick handled thing. It looks like maybe 4 inches, and then maybe a pinch block were side by side. So those are the first 2 things I did, and I locked both of those out. I guess maybe it was one of those Saturn deals, one of those big spheres. The next thing was that 3-inch handle. Then I tried a stub, and I lifted it twice in warm-ups and before the medley, and it came up really, really easy. But I was coming at it from another direction, the opposite direction in the medley, and I think it was like it had like a better grip point on the opposite side from where I was coming on the medley, so I ended up missing it. So then I skipped a couple things. One of them was that little bighorn. I didn't even want to waste any time with that, so I went right to the inch dumbbell. Then it was a tips tester. Then some kind of blob that I ended up missing. I lifted it later. There's another blob. I believe there were 3 50-pound blobs in this medley, which was pretty intense. Then some kind of hex dumbbell, maybe a 50. Another blob, maybe a lighter blob. Yet another York blob. Let's just roll with it. We had some technical difficulties there, everybody, but we started back up. Alan, I kind of went over my memories of the medley. Was there anything that you remember about my medley run where maybe I made a mistake or anything like that?
No, I didn't think anything like that. I thought you did really good. The way that you had gone about it, it seemed methodical, and yeah, I kind of tried to apply some of that approach with the things that I had done myself in the medley. So a lot of those items I had just never personally, even touched before. So that was kind of a challenge, but no, the way you went about it was real good. Yep.
All right, cool. What do you recall about other people's medley runs, dude? Anything in particular in the large medley, the large item medley?
No, it looked like some people might have struggled with that. What was it? That the setting on that Avanco gripper. I think I saw some guys. I think Daniel Fleming took a shot at it. Maybe it wasn't that exact one, but there was some of those that it seemed like that people weren't getting.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Yeah,
it looked like a lot of people
gotten it, but they weren't able to quite get it.
Right. Yep. It looked like the people that had the inch dumbbell within their grasp ordinarily were able to hit that for the medley. He had the block weights were there was a very nice assortment there, but I was surprised by some of the people that missed some of the blobs.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that though, things were real nice. I thought a lot of the weights were actually really appropriate. And the time limit actually though, when we heard it, what was it? It was like 60 seconds or something like that, or was it 30 seconds? I think it was 60. Okay. Well, that on the surface sounded like it wouldn't be a lot of time, but it actually seemed like a really good amount of time for those items and the way he had it laid out. So yeah. I think, if you didn't get to everything, it was more or less because you might have just got hung up trying to get one when it would have been best to just move on to something else, was kind of my take on it. So. Right.
I know, I'm in my head, I'm always trying to monitor how much time. I don't try to keep a track of how much time has gone by, but how much time I'm investing in each individual feat. So for me, if it generally works out to about 3 seconds on a feat that I'm successful at, but if I have to regrip or something, it might take 5 or 6 seconds. So you don't want to have to regrip on a bunch of these things. You want to pretty much put your grip on there properly the first time. So I tried to maximize all of that as much as I could. Was there? Well, I know you ran a different medley from me. The question I was going to ask, was there anything that was surprisingly hard in the medley? And I guess for me, some of those things I didn't even try because I don't train them very much, like the shallow hub and things like that. But there was a blob in the medley, a half 100-pound blob that slipped out of my grip, and then once I missed it, I just moved on because I figured if I missed it once, I might miss it again. And then there's like maybe 12, 15 seconds gone by. And then I didn't even try. There was like a 60 or 65-pound inverted dumbbell that I didn't even try. I mean, I think I might have tried it after the contest, and I wasn't even close. And Gil scooped that right up like he had vacuum cleaner in his palm. So that was pretty easy for him. Was there anything in your medley that seemed rather doable, and then once you got to it, you were shocked at how tough it was?
Well, yeah, I expected I would have been able to lift the smaller globe dumbbell that they had. I think it was a 53-kilogram one or something like that. I've lifted heavier than that in my training. I didn't get anywhere with that dumbbell. There was even some lighter blobs that would ordinarily be well within my range, and I couldn't hit any of those either. But other than that, most of the things I didn't think seemed too bad. I don't know if I got the Iron Mine Blockbuster pinch or not. I thought the medley run went overall pretty good for me, doing the lighter one. But yeah, I just didn't have a whole lot left in the tank at that point. I kind of forgot about it, like I said, when I walked in and I saw what Chris Ryder was working on with everybody else. So yeah. It more or less became time to hit the medley, and it was, oh geez, I just didn't have anything left. But fun nonetheless. I definitely.
Your hands were pretty worn out after all the feet work, huh?
They were, yeah. That's about all there was to it, because otherwise, things like, in that medley, for example, he had, half 80-pound, blobs and stuff, and I never have any issues with those at all any other time. So I just didn't have anything at all at that point. Yeah, anything I did with my right hand went good, like the grippers and stuff that were there during the medley, that was all fine. Some of the other things weren't bad, the little bighorn and stuff like that, but yeah, the other stuff, more or less kind of, I guess, more friction-related stuff is where I seemed to kind of fumble there in the last bit. But I don't remember the exact amount of items.
Was there anything in your medley that you weren't expecting to get, but you ended up getting it?
No, nothing like that. I don't think I tried some of the things that I don't normally work on either, like the stub and stuff like that. I don't think I played with any of that. Yeah, other than that, I guess I think what I hit was what I figured I would have, with the exception of the globe dumbbell and stuff. So. Right.
Now, did you try that stuff that you missed later on after the contest and eventually get it when you had more time to really seat your grip in there and stuff like that?
No, I didn't. I kind of started getting caught up in a lot of the other things that were going on, trying some of other, Nate's toys that he had around there, and seeing what some other people were working on. One guy brought something that involved steel twisting, which was interesting. And yeah, I just kind of got hung up on a lot of those things, playing with some of Sean Kapusta's, like, he had one of those 4-inch crushers or whatever. That was neat to try, and there was a lot of other things. So I never really got to go back to any of those other items.
Yeah. The steel twisting was cool. That was very cool. That was either Bill LePage or Neil Bakerless came up with that. I'm not sure which one, actually.
I think it was Bill LePage.
Yeah. Those guys are very creative dudes. Those are the ones that developed the bending trainers that I reviewed on my YouTube channel. They're very creative. So basically, if you haven't seen that, guys, what they're doing, is they're taking 1/4-inch steel bars, and then they've got 2 blocks. And each block, what were the sizes of the blocks, Alan? Maybe like 2 or 3 inches square or something like that, or they might have been rectangular, but they weren't really that big.
No, they were about palm sized, I would say. Yep.
Yeah, they fit right inside your hand. So basically, you put a wrap on there to protect your hand, and then on the insides of each block, there's a hole that matches up with the bar that you're trying to bend. And you just slip the end of the bar into those holes, and then you're twisting it. You're trying to put, I believe it was 4 or 6 twists inside in the bar, and then that completes the bend. And it was really, really hard. Like, it was putting such extreme pressure on my hand, like I didn't even feel comfortable doing it. So I kind of laid off of it. I know Gil really hit it hard, and he may have actually completed one. Did you give it a try at all, Alan?
I didn't try it. I know I was watching Luke working on it. I don't remember how many twists he got, but then I remember Gil had it in his hand and kind of disappeared with it, and a while later came back, and he had actually twisted one to the point of breaking, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't remember how many total rotations he got on it. It was a little misleading, though, because you looked at them when they were working on it, and those things actually looked really wound up. But then if you'd kind of figure out, like, turn-wise, it'd just be like 2 or 3 turns. So, but I didn't realize there was a set number that they were going for like 6. I guess I thought it was more like an endurance thing than anything. So.
Right. Yeah.
And were those based around, like, normal bars, like, that people are bending? Is that, maybe that's the progression that they're going with, is you're supposed to put an amount of twists, and then it goes by, like, the grade of the bars, like people are doing with the other things, like the, red nails, yellow nails, yada, yada, yada. I don't know if that's the...
No, I think those bars were actually fairly, I'm going to say they're fairly easy bends. Like, I think it was 1/4-inch square bars that we were twisting. That's
okay.
That's a lower end double overhand bend. I think it's a stopper for some people with reverse technique, especially if you're bending it through the straight edge, because it's harder that way. If you bend it over the point, it's a little bit easier. But I think that stops a lot more people on the reverse than it does the double overhand. So I think, and it might even have been smaller than that. I didn't get a video or a picture or anything, so I don't recall. But twisting the bar is a whole different story from bending it with your conventional bending techniques. So that was quite a workout. It'd be something that I would like to try again sometime. That's for sure.
It looked like a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun. But I think it's something where it's going to take specialized training and a lot of time to get good at. So the chances of me of actually working on it are probably pretty slim, I guess. Just because,
it's definitely tailored.
It takes a lot of time, focused training to even get ramped up for it. I generally don't do that.
Yeah, it's definitely best for the guys with the thicker wrists, like what we see in Luke and Gil and stuff. Because a lot of that high torque type stuff. So definitely lends itself to them. Yeah. So, I mean, we're through both the main lifting contest and the medley. Then we get into the topic of the results, Alan, and there were 2
sets of results that were run through based on the numbers that took place. One was your conventional scoring, where everybody's in the same group, and first place gets 100, and everyone else's score on that event is based around their score divided by the first place score in order to get a percentage, and then you end up with points at the end. The other scoring, which is really where the way that the prizes were handed out, is something called allometric performance results. Allometric scoring, it's a formula that was applied to the results, and it took into consideration body weight as well as the numbers that you were able to produce during the contest. Aside from that description, Alan, are you familiar at all with allometric scoring? Is there anything else that you can add in there just in case people aren't familiar with it?
I'm not real familiar with allometric scoring. I don't think I've seen the formula necessarily, but I've seen the online calculators where you can plug in the competitor's weight and then what they lifted, and then I see how they come up with the results after that. It's the main scoring systems, I guess, that we've seen dealt with out there with, like, Wilks, for example, and then the allometric one. And it sounds like the allometric one, I guess it's a little more of the two of them. I don't think it necessarily favors a weight of individual competitors like the Wilks scoring system might. But nonetheless, it does seem to be based around weight of the competitor as opposed to any other variables that might possibly come in. But that's about all I really know about it. A lot of these things are kind of recent developments, I guess, in terms of competition. We hadn't seen them in years past. They're just starting to become more popular within the last couple of years, really.
Right. And there, I would say there's some controversy around that too. If you've been on the grip board at all for the last, better part of a month, really. I mean, we're looking at just about a month ago is when this contest went down, and that was when a lot of discussion came up about whether or not this was the way to go or not with scoring. There's been a lot of discussion, a lot of takes. I haven't weighed in on much of it at all. The main thing that I saw was, if you look at the results, so if you look at the results for just our conventional scoring system, I come in. So it's Gil in first place, me in second, Duvorn in third, Luke in fourth, and then Ches in fifth. So those are the top five. Okay. Now, if you flash down to the bottom, now if you notice, so I'm 255, Duvorn is 283, and Ches is 277 body weights. Okay. So all top five lifters, and then because of my body weight, basically, I get shifted to sixth place in the scoring. Duvorn gets shifted to 12th place, and then Ches gets shifted all the way down to 21st place. So, and what else is interesting, and I'm not picking on anybody here, but the one person that I noticed, and this is mainly because I was talking to him, and it's Bob Sundin. Bob Sundin has had a poor run of luck over the last few months and has not been feeling well, and did not put up numbers that would normally be, representative of his abilities. He just hasn't been feeling that well. He hasn't been training very much, and I think he said he's been pretty busy work-wise. So the way that the conventional scoring rolls out, he's in 18th place at a body weight of 160 with the conventional scoring, and then he gets kicked all the way up into, let me see, yes, third place with the allometric scoring. So I can say, this to me is not the way to go, just because of the dramatic shifts that take place. I think this is possibly a formula or a scoring system that might work when the lifts are dependent upon a great deal of body mass aside from the grip. So, for instance, if we were doing farmers' carries, then I think this might be a way to go, because generally farmers' carries end up being extremely heavy. And then, you're looking at something where someone of a light body weight might be asked to pick up, perhaps 2 times their body weight and then walk with it, maybe even more. So, I could see it making sense there. But when you're looking at grippers, flask, and then 2.5-inch crusher, I mean, I just don't see how this formula applies. If anything, it's hand size. So, you're taking a lot of with the crusher, you're taking a lot of the body strength requirements out of it, because you're using a 2.5-inch crusher. So, let's see, the number 1 lift on that was DeVorn Harris at 96 kilos, which is about, it's a little over 200 pounds, right, Alan?
Yes.
220 or something? 210?
Yeah. Let me
210, 212, something like that. It's in that neighborhood.
211. Yep.
I would be willing to bet that probably every person in this contest could do 212 pounds in a one-hand deadlift, especially the straddle style lift. So this was not a contest that was built around body weight dependent events. I mean, you got grippers, you got flask, and 2.5-inch crusher. So I don't think the allometric scoring was necessary for this event, first of all. And to me, it looks like it really favors the people that are in the 84, 93 kilo class a lot, and probably the ones that are lower. It would have to be the ones that are lower, because Bob was lower than that. But you can see that the top 5 are all in those categories: Gil, Dan Fleming, Bob Sundin, and Luke Raymond. Oh, and I guess all right, so I end up 5th there. But, aside from me, all those other guys are in those middleweight classes. And then if you look at the hand size of each person, Gil's hands are just about as big as mine, if not bigger. He can actually get better coverage on that 60-pound hex dumbbell than I can. And Luke's are by no means small. I think he's got 8-inch hands. I don't know Dan Fleming's hand size. And Bob's I'm not sure of, but I'm sure they're below 8 inches. But I don't know. I wasn't sold on the allometric scoring. I wouldn't have won either way, so it doesn't matter which one. It's not like I was trying to go for, I'm not trying to make a statement like if I'm not going to win, then don't use the formula. I still got to lift the weights. But in my opinion, the allometric scoring is not the way to go, especially for the events that were used at this competition. That's just my opinion. You're free to give your opinion now, Alan.
Well, I personally, I guess I like the allometric scoring or the Wilks scoring from the point of determining kind of a pound for pound competitor status, but I don't like it from the overall standpoint. I still like seeing whoever lifted the most weight. That's how I'd like to see that. But I do like the idea of recognizing lighter competitors for some of their achievements. But I think a lot of this stuff too is that we're going to see the one way or the other, the strongest people are going to kind of prevail on that, regardless of if it's allometric or not. I think Gil finished first place in the competition under that allometric scoring, but then again he won last year's King Kong of grip. So it's not like he was disadvantaged going into it anyway. I think that's what we're going to kind of see with a lot of those. Even at nationals, I think there was some sort of allometric scoring. And Tanner Merkel was the one that shined, but then again, that guy lifts monstrous weights too. So it's not taking necessarily people that wouldn't be way up there at the top anyway. A lot of these guys are really strong regardless. But yeah, that's my thought. I like it from the pound per pound perspective, but not in the overall kind of thing, I guess. And I agree.
Nice to have that way to analyze things, and I haven't looked into it. Probably won't look into the actual details of the formula. I've never looked into the Wilks formula. Some people like this better. Some people like the Wilks better. I don't have a real opinion on either one of those because I haven't looked into the details. But when a formula has the ability to manipulate placings with the significance that this one did, to me, that just doesn't make sense, especially for, for these particular events. I can see it being very useful for, like a contest that's more strongman-esque, such as like the way that Mighty Mitts was run, with very large events, very large handled implements, and very heavy weights. I could definitely see where that would be going. But at the same time, the other thing is we have all these weight classes. Like, why do we even have weight classes if we're going to use allometric scoring? You know what I mean? What does it even matter that we even take, that we separate things into weight class almost? If we have the weight classes, then let's just give out, prizes or recognition or whatever for the people that won those weight classes. That's how it's done in Olympic weightlifting. And I think that's how it's done in powerlifting. I don't know that there's an overall winner, aside from just the sheer results. I don't know of those contests, those competitions using formulas to decide overall winners on a certain day. I think there's like, I think people get a little bit bent over the fact that there's an overall winner from nationals, and the only reason that we have an overall winner at nationals, after all the weight classes, is the fact that the overall winner used to get an automatic invite to Mighty Mitts. It was like, I think, 1 or 2 years, the overall winner got an invite to Mighty Mitts, and then the overall winner just continued after that because we weren't sure if Mighty Mitts was going to take place. So it just got continued from there. That's really the history on that. So, there's nothing saying that even needs to take place. It's just something that has been continued over the years, and we always recognize national champions in each weight class. So, I don't know. I just think that there's... if people are only joining GRIP so that they can win trophies and medals and stuff like that, I think that's the wrong reason to get into GRIP. It's about getting better and pushing against yourself and improving your own results. It's not just about finding a way that you can finish well at a competition, especially if you're depending on a formula, in my opinion. So, and that seems to be the way that it's going.
I definitely agree with that too. Because that is one thing I do appreciate what people are trying to do with those formulas, but yeah, there's no number you're going to crunch that's going to make me lift the inch dumbbell. It all boils down to me getting strong enough to do it, or whatever it takes for me to get there. But that's really, you still have to get strong enough. So it is about improving and stuff. So I'm definitely on board with that one. So yeah, there was a number of things pointed out on the grip board, some variances, but with Wilkes and even the allometric scoring, I think Brian Hunsacker weighed in and made some good points. And but yeah, I guess my one additional thought there is, and it's as you had indicated too, is that we do already have weight classes, and if there's no perfect way, maybe it'd be best to just stick with the way that we have that has been working, rather than try to kind of reinvent that, But I guess that's kind of really all I've got to add. But I do appreciate what people are trying to do there. If they're thinking of ways to attract people and maybe make things more equal, I like that idea.
Yeah. Oh, I understand, and I think in a lot of cases it is a way to attract more people and get people into the sport for sure. But at the same time, people talk about the technicality of the Euro pinch and how it's deterring to new competitors. Well, how deterring is it going to be that in order to figure out where you stand in the results that you have to learn a complete formula system? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I think most people going into a strength sport know they have to go in there and produce the numbers. So, in my opinion, we should focus on the numbers. And if that means going away from an overall winner at competitions, who cares? We've got the weight classes. I mean, it's and again, it has to. It depends on the events. I mean, if there's nothing that requires huge hands, I mean, you're not going to get much more fair than that. Why bring in these other factors? I mean, I don't know. Not to beat a dead horse, Alan. It's just that was something that I was pretty surprised when I heard the results, just based on the numbers that were put out. So, not to piss anyone off, and I don't want to irritate anybody, but I guess sooner or later we were going to come out with some opinions here on This Week in Grip, and I guess today was the day that some opinions came out, and I don't know what else to say about that.
Right. No, I agree. It was a matter of time, and I've been waiting personally for some of the discussion to show up about things like the Euro and the axle, because those are things that those are a few heated topics between the scoring systems and then a few implements in particular. So right. Yep, had to come to a head at some point.
Yeah, and maybe someday we can tackle those as well when we have a little bit more time. Anything else that you wanted to talk about regarding South Jersey 4, Alan? Because we're coming up on an hour here, and I know we had some technical difficulties that are going to get edited out.
Sure.
But there's some other things that I have going on today. So, anything else from South Jersey 4 that you wanted to bring up?
Nothing that I can think of in particular from the contest. I guess I thought Nate did just an amazing job.
It was
yes,
amazing.
It was very well.
Experience. Yep, and I'm really, I would say that a lot of people stepped up and helped out where they didn't have to, and they volunteered their time, and it might have taken a little bit away from their ability to focus on their attempts or properly prepare for each lift they had to make. And Nate did a great job. His wife, cannot imagine the number of hours she put in on everything, dude. Right.
Well, and he had mentioned going into it that this was going to be kind of the one where he let it all hang out. He was putting it all out there, and so he made it appear as though competitions in the future he wouldn't quite go to this extent to pull them off. But when you walk in and you look at his setup, there's an awful lot of permanent things in there. The way he had his basement set up, it looks like he's kind of got, maybe not necessarily on such a large scale, but I think his competitions are still going to be pretty big moving forward. That's just how it seemed to me. He went all out with everything else, So
yeah, and that's a good point. And to build off of that, I think anybody that was there can use a lot of the things that we saw from this competition as benchmarks, and perhaps even best practices, as they used to say where I used to work. I think it was a best practice to have the warm-up area separated from the actual competition area. I thought it was a best practice to have the grippers in the center of the room, and then the competitors would go off to the one of the competition areas in order to take their attempt. It was nice to see the 3 designated competitor areas based on the weight that they were opening with. I think that right there is a best practice. I know that one year at Nationals, it wasn't done that way. It was done by, I think, weight classes. So we didn't really save any time. Like the lighter weight class was on this platform, the heavier weight class was on this weight platform, and by the end, really you could see that we were doing the same weights the whole time. So if we would have split it up so that the lighter weights being lifted were on one platform and then the heavier weights being lifted on the other were done on the other, then we would have saved time there. And that's what Nate did, and I think that's a best practice. Was there anything else that you could point to that you thought was like a best practice or a benchmark, Alan?
No, I think that covered it really well. He clearly put a lot of time and thought into it. He had things kind of, he'd done up some of his layout on the computer and things, so it was definitely nothing spur of the moment there. He had his vision, and it just looked like it flowed really smooth. It definitely wasn't a seat of your pants kind of operation. No. He clearly put the time into it, put his heart into it, and it really showed. I think, yeah, if a lot of people put that kind of effort into things, they would have competitions run quite smoothly, and this could be a lot more commonplace than just the rarity that it really was. So,
right.
It was just amazing. So, I don't know what Nate does for a living, but he should consider like laying out people's grip gyms and stuff for him, because that was just, I couldn't believe what I walked into. Just perfect, beautiful arrangement he had.
Right.
Yes,
Well, what's nice is Nate has so many skills in carpentry that he's been able to really lay out his gym in a way that there's not a bunch of stuff in the way, and he's maximized a lot of that room that he does have, because it's not taken up by piles of plates or endless weight trees or stacks of block weights like my gym. I mean, there's a lot of wasted space in my gym because I don't have everything organized the way that it's supposed to be. So his organization in his gym lends itself, I think, to a great spot for a contest. And,
yes, absolutely.
There's no doubt about it. That would be a great place for a competition. Not necessarily with 60 people or 50 plus people, but it's a great spot for a competition because there is room for you to see, there is room to move, and there's obviously room for a great deal of competition to take place because the medley was so successful there.
Right. Yep.
And, I don't want to downplay all the efforts that Nate put in, and his wife, his daughter, and everybody else that assisted. I mean, Delmar kind of ran the bending competition, which I didn't watch very much because at that point I was both feting and trying to survive because I was so stinking tired. But so many people did a ton of work there, and I have to give them all a nod and say thank you for all the effort that was put in. I mean, people judging, people moving weights, keeping things moving, assisting, scoring, taking the results and the attempts and stuff like that. Josh Hensey's, I don't know what the relationship is there, fiance or whatever the case may be. She helped out on my platform. Andrew Pankey's wife helped out with the scoring. Michael Ravitch helped out with the scoring. All kinds of people helped out, man. It was a great example of grip guys getting together for the common goal of running an efficient contest. Did I lose you again, Alan?
Nope, I'm here. Yep,
okay.
Yep. It does seem like, I can't tell if cutting out again or not, but yeah. Yep. So.
Cool. Well, man, I can't think of anything else, dude. If there's any other things that people would like us to discuss about South Jersey 4, I'd be happy to do it in a future contest. So go ahead and leave a comment there, and don't forget everybody to like the video. But other than that, Alan, the show's yours. Take her away.
Okay. Well, that's episode 25 of This Week in Grip. Finally got the official wrap up of SJ4. Everybody, make sure you like the video, share it, subscribe, and we'll be back next week. Hopefully we'll start covering some of the other feats that have been going on. We'll see you then.